Cool. So, well, I wanted to. I figured I would start out. You kind of hinted, you hinted at it a little bit, but I want to start out with maybe an awkward question. Uh,
Shoot.
so, so I think my colleague who writes more about comedy than I do,
Hmm.
I think I mentioned, she was the one who did this poll. She put the poll together and stuff, and she was like, "Yeah, Tyrone did a Fuck Willamette Week showcase a
Yes,
couple
I
of years
did.
ago."
Yes.
Uh, so obviously, I don't hold that against you. That's
No.
totally cool. Yeah, I never. Plenty of people have done stuff like that to us, and I don't ever hold it against them. But maybe tell me about it. What was that in reaction to?
That year, there were no women picked in that lineup. And I just didn't understand, with all the talented women we have here in Portland, how not one made in that lineup. And it looked like a real sausage fest. It
Right,
actually looked like a good old boys club, if you want to keep it real. That's what it looked
right,
like. So
yeah,
it's just that I just thought that was wrong. So I put me and my wife and Dirty Angel Entertainment, we put together a showcase with what we thought were some of the most talented women comics in Portland. And we did a Fuck Willamette Weekly showcase.
well, that is understandable. It was probably to reiterate
Yeah.
is we do this as a poll. We don't pick people. We just ask
Yeah.
comedians who they think are the best. And
Well,
that's what happens sometimes,
but
unfortunately.
the thing is, y'all need to start screening who you're letting vote. You're letting the same people vote, and they're voting in
Well,
the same people every year. So we're seeing,
that's
and it's not even that there wasn't no women in that lineup. There was just no non-men. I'm gonna say that because like I
right.
said, there's great talent, and I just think
Oh, yeah,
a lot of it was overseen, and it just, you know,
right. Um, so so tell me a little then about your sort of comedy background. When did comedy start for you? I think I saw that you didn't really start until you got to Portland. Like, is that
yeah,
correct?
yeah. Comedy, it fell in my lap. I wasn't looking to do comedy. I mean, in high school, I was voted class clown. I always was funny, but I never looked for it. And how I got into comedy, my sister-in-law was going to school at Portland State, and she had to do, she was doing this mock newscast, and she wanted me to make up a funny skit for a commercial. So I was like, all right, I can do it. I can do it. So I did it. And I'm saying, it was super funny. And her boyfriend at the time knew a promoter in Seattle that was doing a comedy show. And after he saw it, he was like, hey, would you like to be on this comedy show? Like, I had never did an open mic. Like, I did my first showcase before I even did an open mic.
Wow.
Like, honest to God truth. So I was like, yeah, that'll be dope. So I went to Seattle and I did my first showcase on the boat, and I opened up for Rodney Perry. I'll never forget it. It was like one of the greatest. It was like just dope. So like it was and I did the show. I came back to Portland. I actually came back to Portland, and I went to Harvey's downtown,
Yeah.
and I did the open mic there. Like, this was like a long time ago. And like, I was
Mhm.
doing these jokes about the Trailblazers, because at the time, it was easy picking. So I was doing
Right.
these jokes about the Trailblazers, and I did them up in Seattle, and they killed. Like, I mean, it was amazing. But I did the same jokes here, and they failed because they was talking about the Trailblazers. So I actually had stopped doing
Right.
comedy for like 8 months, because I was under the assumption when you bomb once, that's your career.
So you got asked to do this like showcase, and you said you were on a boat
Yeah,
in
it was on a
Seattle. Is that where you
boat.
did?
It was on a boat in Seattle. And the only thing I kept thinking in my head, like, if I bomb, there's nowhere to run. I'm stuck on this boat till we get back to shore, and people are just gonna walk past me and be like, dude, that was terrible. That was
Right.
awful. Like, that was awful. That's the only thing I could get thinking about. But I killed it. Like, it was like I did my first time on stage. I did 15 minutes. Like I said, I'd never done an open mic up to that point. I'd
Yeah.
never done an open mic. So it was amazing. I did a good job. And I remember one of the highlights of it was I didn't know who Rodney Perry was at the time. Like, I didn't know
Mhm.
I didn't know who he was, but I remember him coming up to me. He was like, "Oh, how long have you been doing this?" I was like, honest to God, this is my first time. It's like, he said, "You're nice, man. You got some chops." Like, I could never tell this is
Mhm.
your first time on stage.
I wanted to ask about you perform under the real Hyjinx.
Yeah.
Uh, First of all, what's the origin of that, and why do you perform under like an alias?
Uh Hyjinx has actually been a name I've had since I was in the 8th grade. I used to work at Popeye's Chicken and Biscuits. It was my first job in high school. And my first day at work, I knocked over like 20 containers of chicken in the freezer. Like I knocked over mashed potato batter. Like I destroyed the freezer. Oh, excuse me. I piled them too high and all the shit tumbled over. And one of the employees there said, "Man, you're a jinx. You're a bad luck." So they started, and I smoked weed. So it was like, from now on, we're going to call you Hyjinx. So that's how I actually got that name. So I've just always went by that name since the 8th grade. Like, it's family members that I met when I moved here in 97 that still call me Jinx. They don't even call me Tyrone. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's a lot of people that I worked with here in town for years that didn't even know my name was Tyrone. Had no idea. So that's where that name came. But then when I moved to Portland, at the time when I moved to Portland, I was doing comedy. There was a gang member here named Hyjinx. So you see my name on the flyer, but I look in the crowd, and it'd be all these gang members like, "We about to, oh, that ain't him." So I had to switch my name to the real Hyjinx. Just, it's like, it got to the point like they say, "Oh, Hyjinx doing comedy now, cuz. Hyjinx doing, all right, cuz, we got him now, cuz." They get there and it's not the Hyjinx they're looking for. So I was like, all right, let me go by the real Hyjinx, just so there's no, there's no problem. Because a lot of people thought I did that to be, they was like, "Oh, that's pretty pretty cocky." The real Hyjinx, like, oh, ho, 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 ho. And Adam Posse used to always joke like, "There, oh yeah, because there's a bunch of little fake Hyjinxes running around." So it was always like, you know what I'm saying? So actually there were, you know what I'm saying? So I had to go by the real Hyjinx. So that's how that name came about. And it just stuck.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's an incredible story. Did you ever meet the other Hyjinx? You ever?
We never crossed paths. I'm happy to say we never crypt walked down the same red carpet. So I never met up with him. We never seen each other. So